Welcome to Ask Dr. Tom. We connect with Dr. Tom to talk about all things health and wellness, cancer treatment, etc. This is Ask Dr. Tom with Dr. Thomas Incledon. He's the founder and CEO of Causenta Wellness and the Causenta Cancer Treatment Center in Scottsdale, Arizona. From working with NFL, MLB, MMA, world-class athletes, and even the White House, Dr. Tom's reputation of personalized medicine and cutting-edge technologies have put him on the map for caring for some of the most powerful people in the world, making him one of the most sought-after healthcare professionals of our time. It seems that the snoring is synonymous with being a man. Is it that women never snore, or is this just not as likely and common?
Just not as likely and as common. I mean, generally speaking, it's linked to whether you're looking, depending on the data, it's linked to either body mass or circumference of the neck, things like that. But the more mass you have around the soft palate, the more likely there's going to be some airway flow dysfunction. And, so one strategy would be just be smaller, but not everybody has that choice, right? You can't change your body dimensions. So then you could look at ways of making sure that the airway is not collapsing. And for people that are obese, there's no forgiveness. It's men and women that have sleep apnea type issues.
We're talking with Dr. Thomas Incledon from the Causenta Cancer Treatment Center in Scottsdale, Arizona. And today we're talking about a wide range of topics. We started with the coronavirus because that's been in the news lately. But this is a time when a lot of people seem to be a lot more focused on their health. And then you have these new foods coming out. There seems to be a mission within the fast food world and the restaurant community and the media to create these non-meat products. And I've been reading about some of them. For example, like the Impossible Whopper at Burger King, which I haven't been to Burger King and I can't remember how long, but it's a plant-based Whopper. And then I read that the amount of estrogen in this thing, I don't know how, but it's like it's got more estrogen than than hormone replacement therapy that you would be taking if you wanted to get estrogen. I'm just wondering if you've looked into any of those meat replacements and how you feel like should people be that concerned about replacing meat in their diet for health reasons? Not personal reasons about harming animals, but I'm talking about for health and trying to avoid meat.
So the rule of thumb is processed foods are never healthier. That's just the rule of thumb. And instead of maybe, I guess let me backtrack. So we have the technology today to actually test individuals' reactions to foods. So if you said, hey, how do I know what I should eat so it's healthy for me? I would then say, all right, come in, we're going to do some specialized testing. We're going to see what foods affect your body. And then we're going to eliminate those foods and plan out a meal plan for you. If you said, look, that's outside my budget and I just need to know what should I eat, then the rule of thumb is consume controlled portions of lean meats. It's very straightforward. It's when people overindulge and they're just eating whatever they want, whenever they want, or burning meats, that's when you start seeing there's an increase in risks or an increase in certain diseases when there's overconsumption or excess consumption of these foods. So a practical way would just be to trim fat off the meat, limit the amount of consumption, and then, support that with lots of fruits and vegetables so that now you have all your bases covered. I don't think it's a good idea in general to replace natural products, let's say like meats, with processed products or substitute type products, because the history of, let's say, food on this planet tells us that as we make up stuff for convenience, that usually find out at a later point that there was problems. And a good example, classic example is years ago, there was all this marketing behind promoting margarine as better than butter.
Right.
And what we wind up finding is that the margarine was actually even more unhealthy than the butter was. So that's kind of like, the meat substitute. It's like the margarine, the margarine place of the butter. It's kind of how I see a lot of this stuff, is that all we need to do is, just consume limited amounts of butter and everything will be fine. And the same thing with the meat, just not overindulge and everything will be fine.
What about breakfast? I mean, intermittent fasting aside, there's a time when you really, if you take a look at people across history, breakfast wasn't that big of a thing. It seems like, we talk about marketing, it seems like the cereal industry and the milk industry and the people in those communities in the 1900s and, the 20th century really pushed breakfast as a meal, the most important meal, etc. How, as a doctor, how do you feel about breakfast?
So I still think it can be an important meal. I guess if we were looking at, let's say, just everyone as in general, I would say the most critical thing is to make sure to getting enough energy and enough micronutrients throughout the day. And the rationale for that is if your body needs something and it's not there, then it's either not, the reaction's not taking place, or there's some sort of biochemical compensation. And so if you are moving more, you're physically active, it's going to be tough to, wake up after, a good night's sleep and not be hungry in the morning. I mean, maybe for some people it's not a problem. But I would say, as I'm talking to people, I see that some people are very hungry when they first wake up, and some people aren't. So one option would be, work with your body's energy demands or needs and create a meal strategy around that. Another option would be, well, what do I need to, let's say if you're going to go out and run 12 miles, it wouldn't make sense just to wake up, not put anything in your body and go out and run that far. You're not gonna get the same level of performance as you would if you had some energy in your body. So there's sort of a context where you got to see, like, what's the goal here and what are you trying to accomplish. If there's movement or activity involved, the research is clear. There's always better performance when there's energy coming in. It doesn't matter if it's protein, fat, or carbohydrate. It always outperforms doing, not eating anything or drinking water. If there's not activity involved, then I would say, go with maybe see how it feels. Some people wake up and say they're never hungry, so then maybe you could eat a little bit later. But then the challenge is if you're only eating one meal a day or 2 meals a day, it's very difficult to get all the micronutrients you need. So then you either got to supplement like crazy, which then, begs the question, why spend all that money on pills when you could have been eating some food and it would have, cut down on the budget. So I didn't mean to kind of talk around the answer, but I think it's tough to say one thing that's going to work for everyone because I know a lot of the bigger athletes, they wake up starving. There's no way they're going to, get up and then go do a sport or something on an empty stomach. But then I know a lot of older people that tell me they're just not hungry in the mornings. And so I would have maybe different strategies for those different groups.
So I'm asked all the time by patients, what's the difference between personalized medicine and traditional medicine? And in traditional medicine, there's a singular approach. So you have cancer A, and for cancer A, here is the standard of care treatment. And after you go through the standard of care treatment and it doesn't work, typically there's not a plan B. There's not another option. So then patients are told, hey, there's nothing else that can be done. And so then they're convinced that, hey, there's no hope and we can't do anything else. Now I want to contrast that in a personalized approach that we have at Causenta. We're going to measure all kinds of details within your body. And we're going to find lots of areas that we can actually improve your health. And then indirectly, by improving those areas, we're going to help you do a better job at fighting cancer. So where someone else would say, hey, there's nothing that could be done, we're going to say, hey, there's lots of opportunity here to improve your health and make sure that you have a better quality of life so that you're able to function and live life under your own terms and not just waste away in a bed in hospice somewhere and watch everything go by you as time passes on. So if you or a loved one has been diagnosed with cancer and you're looking to get help, I strongly encourage you to go to Causenta.com and fill out the form at the bottom of the page and find out for yourself how we can help you.